So let's go ahead and finish this image up. So we're going to click here on our layer mask, and I'm just going to use our brush tool. We'll just paint black with our brush tool here. There we go. And see about getting rid of most of this background and the hair. Again, it's kind of just easier if you just kind of start from scratch with the hair, especially around the edges there. There we go. So let's just get rid of all that. Okay, there we go. Now this area is a little bit tricky in there because you can see a little bit of the background, so we'll kind of get rid of that. And you can also simplify the hair while you're at it. You don't have to do every individual brush stroke. So let's try that. Looking pretty good there. And we're going to just lower the density of this a little bit. And again, the reason I'm lowering the density of my layer mask is so I can kind of see what the hair underneath it would look like. So let's use our brush tool. We're going to go back to the hair. Let's grab that hair brush. I'm going to make it just a little bit larger now. And I'm going to just start here with our dark colors because we need to kind of build in some darks, right? Okay, let's bring our density back up here. I'm just going to build in these darks. There we go. And then the light hair will just kind of come right on top of that. So obviously we can see it's a little bit of a time-consuming strategy. Obviously I would like to just have made a selection tool and then had that do all my work for me. But it's just not always the case. Sometimes you just work on an image where that's, there we go, choose a light color there. Sometimes you're just working on an image where that's just not going to be, you don't have that option. Like you don't have enough information there. There we go. Let's choose a... So I've kind of just got my left hand holding Alt or Option. There we are. And just do some flyaways and things like that there so it looks more realistic. And you can kind of look at the existing hair to get some ideas of how like color will vary. Okay, let's click here and we'll work on the density a little bit so I can just get an idea of some of the existing hair. Yeah, it just kind of goes everywhere, like hair has a tendency to do. In this image, the subject does kind of have that like messy hair look going on, which I think is nice. So we'll kind of bring that back too. So you can see starting off with some of the darker and then painting back some lighter. There we go. Sample some lighter colors here. Again, just holding Alt or Option to do that. have these kind of come in there as well. Okay, definitely starting to look good. Takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of time to get the feel going on here. And if your hair color is, let's say you just have like dark hair, okay, that's much easier to do this because you don't have to worry about all the different transitions in hair color and you know how hair flows from one shade to another. Working with dark hair just kind of makes this a lot easier. Nice. All right, just choose some random flyaways there. Cool. So we can see from a level, you know, right about there, you can definitely paint hair looking, you know, from far away. So basically all that is just done with a hairbrush. So, you know, if you zoom in all the way, will you be able to tell? A lot of the time, yes. But if you're looked at, you know, your image, you know, at a regular viewing size, it should really do a nice job kind of blending in. Okay. Now, also you'll notice here we do have a little bit of like noise and grain on the existing hair. So with this new hair that I just painted in, you can go to Filter, down to Noise, and you can add noise. There we are. And I'm going to click on Monochromatic. I'm just going to add a little bit of noise to this hair. There we go. Let's hit OK. And that's just going to, you can see it adds more variation, and it just tends to make it look just a little bit more real as well. The other thing that you can do is just give it a little bit of a blur. So we'll just go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. There we go. And like a 0.1 or 0.2 radius is usually what you want there. Just a little bit of a blur kind of helps everything blend together and just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Let's go ahead and finish off the other side of our subject's head, and then we'll be done. One thing we're going to do, let's just go in here. I'm going to hit R for my rotate tool, and that allows me to rotate the view of my image. And with my rotate tool, it allows me to just create a more natural brush stroke, because certain movements are more natural, whether you're using a tablet or a pen, or a tablet or a mouse rather. So if you need to, hit R, rotate your canvas, and then get back to your brush tool, and it's going to just make that easier. So rather than, you know, trying to paint like this, you can go with your natural inclination for a brush stroke. There we go. And let's just paint that black just a little bit there. There we go. Just painting that away. Okay, and then on a new layer, I'm just going to go back to this brush and sample the hair. So obviously, you know, this is going to be a little bit easier on this side because it's just a little bit less complicated of a hair pattern anyway. So we'll start off with some dark and then kind of add the lights to it. Let's turn on our color dynamics there. There we go. Paint in some darks and then grab the light colors. There we go. And then paint the lights right over top of it. That just gives the hair a little bit more depth. Alright, looking good. Sample that color there. Kind of see we're getting some, I want to paint some flyaway hairs here as well. It's kind of like those random hairs that just kind of do their own thing. That will help any effect like this look realistic. Okay, let's go ahead and rotate it around. And there we can see there's a before and the after with that. Looking really good. It's just a little bit fake looking right there, so let's just kind of fill in some dark area. Slightly larger brush. And fill that area in there. Very good. Now, here where we have some of these, we've cut out really well, but we can see some of the background color. We're just going to make all these layers invisible for now. We're going to create a new layer on top of this, and I'm going to right-click and go to create a clipping mask. Now, we're going to go over this in more detail in another section, but a clipping mask basically makes this layer only visible where this layer is visible. So now I'm going to use my brush tool, and we're just going to paint with our brush tool with this darker color here. There we go. You don't have to only use your brush tool, you can actually use your clone stamp tool too. And what this does is it makes it only visible in that area. And you can even do, you know, with your smaller brushes here too. You can even paint individual strands if you need to. But basically this layer is just only visible where the layer underneath it is visible. And that's just going to help this light colored fringe that we have here. It's going to help take care of that. I'm just making it darker, which is giving more like natural color to the hair. There we go. Let's turn all those on so you can see that made a big difference there. And then on a new layer above all this, you just want to go ahead and choose your lighter colors and then bring back. There we go. Bring back some of this definition there. Alright, I'm going to hit R for a rotate. If you need to erase any of these out, you can just hit E for the eraser tool. There we go. So you can see I'm just kind of painting that back up there. And Alt or Option to sample a brighter color. And I'm painting some of this back over top of it again. Alright. Now I specifically kind of chose an example that was relatively difficult here. But we can see what a really great technique this is. So we're able, let's just bring this back to here. That's so nice. So basically, let's just take this back to the original. So we have our subject completely, you know, just our original image. And then we used a layer mask, and it's just a really rough layer mask at this point. We then added a clipping mask to darken up that area, and then literally everything else we did is just with the brush tool, just painting that hair back, and we're able to get just a really nice image. There we go. maybe just erase that. A really nice image. Our subject is super well cut out, and if I just double click on my background, you can see this is going to hold up no matter what color. We can make a black background, we can make a white background, no matter what color we make our background, or if we just put another image in, this is going to do a really, really nice job, because those individual strands, you know, they stand on their own. Basically, they're completely opaque on a transparent background. So it's just a fantastic way. Now I'm going to just shift click all these layers. We're going to right click and I'm going to convert them all to a smart object. Just basically kind of makes them all one. And let's go to filter, noise. We're going to add a little bit of that noise like we did before. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to give it a slight blur. And then that way when we zoom in, you can see, let's put the noise on top of the blur. Okay, and maybe we'll add a little bit more noise. There we go. So if I just turn these filters off and on, let's just zoom in there. There we go. We're going to add even more noise because I'm trying to match the image here. There we go. And all that little variation that you can see with the noise, it's a little bit more than on the rest of the image, but as we zoom out, that natural variation that the noise gives us just makes the hair look a little bit more natural as well. Well, there we have it, painting hair in Photoshop. So I know that was a pretty in-depth example. I specifically chose an image that was a little bit difficult to work on. So if you were able to follow me through this and able to replicate this on your own, then you're going to be able to cut out anyone's hair using the brush tool. Join us in our next video where we're going to use custom brushes to paint hair, adding to our knowledge of removing hair and painting hair in Photoshop. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video.